Hey, welcome. Getting right into it. Post boot camp, you are introduced to your Super Destroyer. This will be more or less how it looks. If you purchase the Super Citizen edition of the game, you'll have access to that arcade machine on the right. If you're a new player, your ship management console will be located closer. Mine is further back due to ship upgrades. Now you'll see all these options listed later in the videos. Please check the YouTube chapters for more information on that. Upon approaching this area, you'll notice we have consoles on the left and right. This right side set is useless. Over here, however, you will spend quite a bit of time looking at your weapons and armors and all the rest. When you press pause, you look at the top right, you'll see green, orange, and pink colored icons. Those are your samples, green being common, orange being rare, and then the pink or magenta being your super samples. Your ability to gain the higher tiered ones is completely dependent on mission difficulty. These values for the samples are at capacity. What I have circled blue are your medals, acquired in mission or by completing your personal orders or having a major order completed. You're capped out at 250. Circled in yellow are your requisitions, acquired in mission. Circled in green are your super credits, which can be found in mission in smaller quantities. However, you can purchase large quantities using real-world money. This is the premium currency in Helldivers 2. While still in the menu, tab over to options. First one here is gameplay. Now you'll see where it says remember aim mode. It says per weapon. I would suggest leaving this as per weapon because some weapons you might prefer first person, others you might prefer third person. These options are just suggestions. By no means am I some sort of MLG pro. However, I do suggest you messing with this auto climb during sprint. This can disrupt you while in combat. You can climb on things if you intend to by pressing the A button. We're all gamers, we all know A is to climb or jump. So just turn that off. We don't want the game trying to do that for us. Another setting I would suggest is turning on midnight mode. Basically, sounds that matter more are louder. As a new player, you'll probably spend a lot of time here on your controller bindings. You have a lot of things you can do in Helldivers, so little buttons. You can remap every button. You can set it to double tap, tap, press, long hold. You have options basically. And just do what you need to do to make it make sense to you. I wouldn't suggest copying my setup whatsoever. I have it more familiar to me from Gears of War. Left is a weapon, up is your grenade, right is a secondary weapon, and then down is your sidearm. You can do something along those lines, whatever works for you. Totally customizable. I would probably look at other players who commonly use controller because I do default to mouse and keyboard, being on PC and all. When you're just walking around on your ship, at the top of your screen, you can see what you press to open up acquisitions. You have Warbonds, Superstore, and Super Credits, which are your premium currency. I will go over Warbonds and Superstore at the end of the video. This is where you go for mission select. Your red is your robots, your yellowish is your bugs, and your purple are the Illuminate factions. You see your planet selection here. You can see how many Helldivers are currently active on each of these planets. Press whatever button you gotta press on the bottom right to open up your effects. Each planet has its own type of environmental conditions. Some you just might not want to deal with. Looking at difficulties, you start at level 1, trivial, access to common samples only. You hit level 4, you get access to rares. Level 6, you get access to super samples. And then the higher you go, the more samples you can collect from all categories. You have to beat one difficulty to have access to the next. Find an operation on this planet you want to pursue, select the mission. Upon doing so, you'll have access to step into your hell pod. This next screen here is going to be the mission map. You're able to select where to drop into. If you have teammates, they can suggest locations, however, the host is the ultimate decider on that. This next screen here is where you select your stratagems. If you have 4 available, pick 4. Your booster might not be available to you right away, but you'll unlock it as you level up your Warbond. As you dive in, this screen here, you do have some control over your Hellbot, so you can even land it on the enemy if you decide to. One important thing to do upon landing is check your immediate surroundings. Are you in a very bad spot, or are you in a safe spot where you can start to deploy some stratagems? Now remember, stratagems are the thing you got to select after selecting your drop point, shown here on the left side, activated by the button you have set on your controller or keyboard. Once this menu is open, press the directions on your D-pad or whatever you're using, and it'll come out as a ball, which is to mark the location for your ship to drop the item. Pick up the item using the interact button, and now it's yours. Now what I'm about to show here is not really a day one type of thing, but I do want to showcase using the backpack function and then opening the drop wheel. So I activated my Hellbomb backpack and then I dropped it. Why? Because I like to blow things up, and we get to see that here. Diving. When you dive, you take less damage. Whatever you have mapped to dive, please do remember that. It could save your life. Another good thing to keep in mind is knowing how to open up your weapon wheel. Your weapons have different firing modes and other options, usually activated by holding down your reload button, unless you've mapped it to something else. Some stratagems are shared, such as your reinforce or resupply. If you throw down a resupply, that's going to be the same resupply that someone else across the map could have used if they needed it, for example. So just be generous. If you're going to drop a resupply, make sure you communicate that before someone walks off with low ammo. You'll notice I picked up an autocannon and backpack. You do want to get the backpack if you have an autocannon. You'll see that there is a gray circle just outside of my yellow reticle. That circle is where your barrel is pointing. Heavy weapons do tend to take longer to get centered up. And again, here's the weapon wheel, more options being displayed. Where that circle is flying is just showing how crazy the recoil is on this weapon. And there are plenty of weapons that have insane recoil. Some players do just want to turn off the centered reticle and just go off of what the circle is showing. It is more accurate. Up to you. Totally player preference. I open up the map here and I see there's red dots very close to me. I want to create some space between me and the enemies, so I drop a stratagem that is dangerous, indicated by the red beam. Gas mines. These things are going to create space between me and the enemy. Over my left here, blue beam. It's dangerous, but not as inherently dangerous as a gas mine. These turrets are going to auto-lock onto an enemy, no matter what, even if you're in the way. That's how I got shot, just by walking in front of it. They don't care. I died. It is not the end of the world. I drop back in because I got some reinforcements left on the counter indicated on the top left. Just pick up the pieces and move on. It happens. And here's my little controller setup just so you see what it's like. Got some inspiration from Gears of War. Notice there is a stratagem icon on the left side, Super Earth Flag. That is part of the mission. You put that input in and that blue beam is going to show up and it's going to drop the objective. This one specifically here is the flag. All that's required of you is just to exist in the proximity of this flag as it's being raised. When you do so, enemies will spawn. You see the orange smoke coming up. Those are breach points. It's real easy to go between first and third person. If you want a more precise shot, you want to go first person most often. But if you're expecting a lot of combat in your immediate vicinity and you got some great light weapons you can easily maneuver around with, maybe third person. Totally player preference. I'm about to acquire some damage. So I'm going to quick stim, whatever button you have mapped to it. My health is about half, as indicated on the bottom left. Quick stim, now I'm topped off. And then finish the job. I do want to highlight laser weapons in this game. Pretty cool. They don't run out of ammo. Bottom left, there's the battery. I'm going to fire this weapon in quick succession and build up the battery, but not let it max out. As long as you can manage that cooldown, essentially infinite ammo. I'm going to run towards that blue beam. That's where extraction is. Now once you hit extraction, there's going to be a little console here. Just put in the arrow commands. And then, just like earlier, all that's required is to exist in this vicinity. At least one person. You can activate it and then teammate can hold it down while you explore. Completely optional, but just someone needs to remain here. So just to recap, laser weapons can have infinite ammo if you manage that cooldown. Arc weapons, also infinite ammo. Things that do cost ammo, however, will be your plasma weapons and then your standard ballistic weapons. More good information. Crowd control. It is easy to get swarmed in this game, especially if it's bugs or illuminate enemies. Good way to stay on top of that is weapon selection. You can go with fire, gas, explosives, knockback, stun. You have plenty of options, just see what's available to you and also consider the faction. Maintain situational awareness. Sometimes that ship landing might catch you by surprise, and you might be where it needs to land. If you're in the way, it's going to land no matter what. It'd be a shame if you died at the end of the mission. The screen over here tells you what you did and what you missed or didn't miss. It goes towards your XP. Another important thing is samples. You find them on the map. Common, rares, super rares, it don't matter. Whatever you find, everyone gets to benefit from it. There's no need to kill your teammates over it. This next screen here, you can compare stats between yourself and teammates. For this next portion here, pause the video as needed because I'm going to quickly show each item that I have. I believe I have all the guns, but I know for a fact I'm missing a little bit of armors. At the very least, I hope this serves just to show what's available in the game to you. As I show these items off, I'm going to give you some more information and tips. Bear in mind that friendly fire is a big part of this game. Not that you need to engage in it, but it exists. Team killing just happens. It's usually on accident. If you happen to be the one that kills your teammate, just apologize. There's a ping button on your controller, whatever you have mapped to it. Just hold it down, open up the communications wheel, and say sorry. Or don't, up to you. If you're on the receiving end, I'm sure you'd want the same treatment. Every time you launch a game, the map's going to be random. The layout, all of that. Now there might be similarities, especially if you're on the same planet as before, but yes, the map is random each and every time. Similar to the way you have a mini game on your wrist for a stratagem input, the terminals that you approach for your objectives or your secondary objectives might have some other type of mini game on the screen. I would suggest looking at other videos that show how to accomplish each and every one if you just want a clue. Or do it like most people and just go one head first and figure it out. Some other considerations that kind of go with team killing is if you prep a stratagem that is dangerous, like a orbital barrage, still in your hand and it's prepped, you have not thrown it yet, but you fall from some height or you receive damage that causes you to ragdoll. You're going to drop whatever stratagem was in your hand. So now your immediate area is dangerous. You and teammates that don't leave immediately could die. So just bear in mind that that is a realistic possibility and it happens more often than you would think. Do communicate when you can. Whether it's just pinging an item or if you have a microphone and you don't care to talk out loud, it does help out a lot. Especially if teammates want to communicate with you that there is a certain type of enemy approaching you, you might want to know that kind of information. and you should hopefully be able to do the same in return for your other teammates. Whenever you're playing with the team and they all die or one person dies, that person is not going to just spawn whenever they want to. It's up to another Helldiver that's alive to call that teammate back in, using the reinforced stratagem, which is usually the uppermost one. When someone dies, doesn't mean you need to call it right then and there. It might be smarter to create some more space between you and the enemies, so that your teammates can get dropped in on a safer location. Otherwise, you throw your teammates into a horde of enemies, they're gonna land, come up from their hell pod, and get killed again. So just be wise about that. When it comes to you and teammates choosing stratagems, if you're not being a jack of all trades, then hopefully the team has at least what's needed to accomplish the mission. For example, if everyone is rocking light and medium penetration stratagems, whether it's machine gun turrets or other types of lightweight items, but nothing heavy, there is a gap that needs to be filled, and it's going to make the mission all that much harder whenever a heavy enemy comes up. Stratagem placement is also a big item. Your sentries, for example, whether it's your autocannon, rockets, Gatling, machine gun sentries, those are all very effective and great to have, but where you place them can make all the difference. For example, you place it in a spot you really like, well, it also happens to be the spot where teammate is downrange, in between enemies and that turret. That turret's not going to stop firing for anything, it's going to shoot the enemies. Be mindful of that, as well as orbital barrages. Don't throw those near you, throw those far and towards the enemy. Everything that I'm showing you here can be accessed through the Superstore using super credits, as I shown you earlier, or by using medals in the Warbonds, which you will see soon. During the mission, you might encounter enemy patrols. They could be far away and completely unaware of your existence, and it might be wise just to keep it that way. Stealth is an option in this game. You can sneak by or let them walk away. I know it's tempting to get all the kills. Sometimes the mission is more important. Whenever you reload a mag, that mag that you dropped is gone forever until you resupply. Your rounds aren't retained, it's gone. So I would suggest reloading as needed. Armor considerations: light, medium, and heavy. If you're running light armor, you're going to be moving quite a bit faster than any other armor type. If you're running heavy armor, you can't move anywhere near as fast, but you can take more damage. Another great thing to keep in mind is extraction. I would suggest waiting for all teammates to be near the extraction shuttle before the first person enters, because that's when the countdown really starts, is when that first person steps inside. What you're seeing on screen is the ship management, which I mentioned I'd come back to later. All these items are obtained using the requisition currency. You can get it through leveling up or Warbonds. Another good tip would be to manage your stratagems. If a teammate throws their destructive stratagem at a group of enemies, maybe don't throw yours as well. Seen it too many times where everyone's just blowing their load in one direction. Maybe one guy should just save it for the next wave. You can see here these stratagems are cooldown based. You can see cooldown time listed on all of these stratagems here. Next up is ship module. These are upgrades you give to your ship that are based on samples. 6 categories. The more you put into one category, the more demanding the sample requirement. You'll notice starting off it's probably just commons, and then it incorporates rares, and then the super samples are incorporated at the end. I would suggest looking at a video on how to acquire super samples. For the sake of trying to keep this video more introductory level, I would suggest seeking out other YouTube videos that cover how to acquire super samples or what weapons to use against which faction, because loadout choices do matter in those instances. Next up here we have Warbonds. They cost super credits to acquire. You start off with Helldivers Mobilize, and I'm going to go through all these pages just so you can see what's there. what you have to look forward to. The other Warbonds are going to cost about 1,000 super creds. And then I believe this Halo one coming up is going to cost 1,500 super creds. All these currencies are earnable in-game, but it could take you a bit to earn it because, you know, usually quantities of 10 are found. Occasionally you might find a stack of 100 super creds. So you get lucky 10 times, that's enough for a Warbond. You'll notice in the mission select screen, whenever I was scouring the planet surface for a place to start, I was looking at operations. When you select an operation, it expands and you see the missions available within that. At level 1, it's 1 mission per operation. But the higher you go, the more you'll see there is. It goes up to 3. I would highly suggest completing an operation once it started. You get more medals, and plus it goes towards the progress of liberating that planet. Another thing I'll say is just have fun. Someone might not agree with your stratagem choices, but that's fine. When you're starting off, you don't have that many choices anyway. As you play more, you'll also realize what actually works and what doesn't work. But yes, the important thing is to have fun. When making this video, I did want to be respectful of your time, and also bear in mind, what would I want to know as a new player to Helldivers. A lot of y'all are coming from Xbox and playing Helldivers for the first time. This is intended to be an introductory video. One thing I forgot to mention is plasma weapons. Their explosives are not treated the same as your standard fragmentation or other type of rocket explosions. Plasma explosions are treated differently. They don't close up bug holes, for example, but they're still effective for crowd control. I'm not a content creator, usually watch videos. I know there's quite a few things I probably missed. If there's someone who has experience in this game that wants to pitch in, throw some information in the comments, things that could really help out someone who's coming over from Xbox, feel free to drop that down below. Thank you. This is the Superstore. It updates every 2 days. This just so happens to be what's showing at the time of recording. Everything here is obtained using super creds. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful and gave you some sort of expectation for what to expect if you get this game. Alright, see you on the battlefield.
We turn.